Hey everybody, welcome back to EcoVenture GSO. My name is Mikey Romano, and you are back here with me on the EcoBus, which is part of Greensboro Parks and Recreation's Environmental Education Initiative. For our show today, in case you missed it, it's a little chilly outside, wintertime. So we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a field trip. We're going to go over to the Greensboro Science Center. We're going to meet a friend of mine, and she's going to introduce us to some animals that love the cold, that hate the cold, and that are, so okay with the cold. So, before we go, like always, gotta have our, important equipment. And now we go to the Science Center. So, through the magic of TV and our incredibly high budget, ready to go? Diddly-doo, 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 diddly-doo. Hey Allison, how are you doing today?
Hi Michael, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
I'm so happy you were able to come here to the Greensboro Science Center today.
Thanks for having us, appreciate it.
Well, I have some special things in store for you.
I'm so excited to see them and to learn all about it, okay?
Yeah, well, it's cold here at the Greensboro Science Center. It's wintertime, but even though it's winter, we still have a lot of things to see and to do.
I'm really excited about that. So there's stuff inside and outside for everybody to do.
Inside and outside. We have lots of animals. We have animals that really enjoy this cold weather. We have some animals that tolerate it very well. And then I'm going to introduce you to an animal that really doesn't like the cold weather very much at all.
You mean Crystal?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm allowed to bring my friends, right?
Yes, you can bring your friends.
Okay, great. You 1 second, okay? All right, so everybody, this is Allison Manka. She's awesome. She is the School and Aquarium Programs Manager here at the Greensboro Science Center. She's going to be our tour guide today to learn all about animals and plants and how they deal with the colder temperatures. You guys ready for an adventure? All right, guys, so we're here in the Red Panda exhibit. I've got Allison and I've got Rachel. Rachel is the primary keeper for the red pandas here at the Greensboro Science Center. And what's going to happen right now is Allison and Rachel are going to tell us some of the different things that happened in the colder months. These guys are really adapted to cold weather. They like the colder temperatures, and we're going to learn all about that.
Okay, so Michael, these are red pandas. Mm-hmm. They are a little bit different from a great panda. Okay. So when people think about pandas, they think about black and white. Mm-hmm. But these pandas are native to China. Okay. And they are arboreal, so they tend to stay in trees. So they are not black and white, but they have that great rust color on them. And you can see Rachel is giving them some of their favorite treats.
Grapes.
They're getting some grapes. And Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about some of their adaptations for the cold weather?
So pandas are perfectly adapted for cold. They have no pads on their feet like your dog or cat would at home. If we can lift your paws, you can see that it's just completely fur. He's not going to show you. And that allows them better traction on trees when they're covered in snow or ice. Their large fluffy tail, they use that when they curl up in the ball and completely cover their face. And that helps protect against strong cold winds.
So Rachel, when are you more likely to see the pandas here at the Greensboro Science Center?
Well, kind of like you said, they're more adapted to colder weather, so winter is the best time. So if you come out to the Science Center in the winter, these guys are pretty much always going to be out.
And where do they go in the summertime when it's really hot?
You are hungry. Here. We have a hole in the wall right here that leads into a nice air-conditioned area. And they've got a place where they can get out of the quiet and out of the sun and cool off. But they pretty much always have access. So even if it's 100 degrees, they still like to come and see what's going on out in the zoo.
That's really cool. But as a general rule, they like being cold much more than they like being hot.
Correct. So their activity level spikes dramatically as the weather starts to drop down. They get fed more. We provide them with a lot more options of water bowls and bamboo. They just are out and about doing a lot more things.
Okay. Now, in the wild, what's their primary diet, and does it change with the seasons?
Their primary diet is bamboo. So panda means bamboo eater, which is why they share the name with the giant panda. Red pandas were actually discovered before the giant panda. So bamboo makes up their 99% of their diet, but they'll eat fruits, sometimes small birds and mammals, reptiles, seeds, nuts, those kinds of things.
Okay.
during breeding season here, these guys we're not breeding them currently, according to our whole SSP program that we follow here. So January through, I believe, May 1, we do separate them. It's just the easiest form of birth control. So you'll only see one panda on an exhibit at a time. This year we're going to kind of house them a little bit differently so that we can rotate them weekly. So 1 week it could be Tai, 1 week it could be Yusha.
Okay.
And this little panda that's right next to you, that is our male panda, and his name is Tai, which is short for Taiji, which means birthmark. So if you get a close look up at his nose, he's got a little gray smudge right close to his nose, and that's how he got his name.
That's wonderful. So as we continue our tour of the Science Center, wanted to point out a couple of different things. I know it's kind of cold out and a lot of people like to stay inside, but there's still tons of things to do at the center during the winter time. You want to tell us about one of them?
Yeah, Michael, one of the great things we have here at the Greensboro Science Center is Sky Wild.
Love it so much.
I know, it's great. It's your chance, or our visitors' chance, to be an animal. We'll bring you up one of these days too.
Thank you.
But you get to go up into the trees, and the fall and winter is a great time for Sky Wild because you really do work up a sweat. So the nice cold weather is a great time to come on up here. There are 3 different levels of intensity, so it's okay if you're a little bit scared at first. Don't worry, you're perfectly safe. You are strapped in, you are not going to fall, and it's really fun to get to see all of our animals from a different vantage point.
Really
but one of the things I wanted to point out was, even though we're cold and we get to go up on Sky Wild, we have some critters up on Sky Wild too.
That's cool.
We do. If you look way up there underneath that little platform, see that little cluster of leaves?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a squirrel nest.
Very neat.
It is. So if, our folks are at home and they're looking up at their trees and they see a big cluster of leaves like that, they might have a squirrel in their backyard trying to make its own little winter home.
Very cool. They'll stay up there all winter?
All winter.
Very
They'll come
neat.
down and they'll eat their nuts that they've buried down into the ground, but that is a nice, safe, warm place for them to spend their winter.
So now we're going to meet an animal that really doesn't like the cold too much and kind of has to have a little help dealing with it in the North Carolina winter.
All right, so Michael, I want to introduce you to one of our other keepers, my good friend. This is Lauren, and she is the lead keeper for our giant anteater. So we are going to meet a very special anteater. His name is Yuri, and you know what? He really doesn't like the cold weather at all. So Lauren is going to do a little bit of training with him, and she's going to tell us what some of his adaptations are, and just a little bit about our giant anteater in general.
Okay.
So this is Yuri, like she said. He's one of our, he's our only giant anteater here at the Greensboro Science Center, and he is 17 years old. He's a geriatric little man, and he's built for the warmer weather. So he comes from South America, mainly in Brazil. So cold weather is not his favorite thing.
Understood.
And giant anteaters actually have a colder internal temperature than most mammals do, so they become hypothermic a lot quicker than most mammals.
Okay.
So we were really careful with him, and also because he is geriatric, he's got some arthritis, so his arthritis can become more irritated as he gets colder. So he has temperature restrictions that we give him, so we want to make sure that it's sunny and at least 55 for him to go outside so he can get some sunny, nice spots to lay down and rest and warm up his old bones. If it's colder than that, we keep him inside. And our blockhouse, his night house where he stays during the winter and at night, is about 72 degrees, and we have ambient temperature, and then we also have heated floors. So it keeps him nice and toasty, and it keeps everything nice and humid because he loves the humidity.
Right.
So giant anteaters are built for that warmer weather, and they've got hairs instead of fur, so that doesn't keep any heat in, unlike a warm dog or anything like that.
So no insulation in the
Right, so very little insulation, and those hairs are used to protect him from termites and ants. So ants, their automatic defense mechanism is to bite, and he eats about 30,000 ants a day in the wild, a giant anteater would. So those ants are going to try and defend themselves, and those thick hairs are what defend him from the ants.
Right.
But it's very bad for the cold. It doesn't help.
I hate when my food fights back.
Yes,
So, yes.
right. So he's also adapted to walk on his knuckles. You can see in the front he walks on his knuckles because he's got these really sharp nails, and he uses those to open termite mounds and anthills, and we give him rotten logs that he loves to use. And they'll also use them for defense against jaguars. That's one of their biggest predators.
Sure.
So they'll use their big back tail, and they'll get on their back feet kind of like a tripod, and then they'll slash out at whatever is trying to attack them. And they usually do a pretty good job of defending themselves. Once they're an adult size, there's not very many animals that can injure a giant anteater. Hi! And of course you can see he's got this beautiful long nose. So giant anteaters do not have any teeth. They have their top and bottom jaw, and they'll use them to grind their food.
Right.
And then they have this tongue that's about 2 feet long, so it's pretty decent.
So, and I actually brought a little sample to show you
just
how long that anteater tongue is. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So he's already in his own rock band at this point.
Still going, we're still going, we're still going. Oh my goodness. There's 2 feet right
Wow.
there. So his tongue is 2 feet long.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, and it's sticky along the whole length to pick up all the
So it goes
termites?
all the way down into his chest. So whenever
Okay.
he's eating, you can actually see it come out. It's pretty fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it's got this sticky saliva. I can kind of see it on my hands now.
Right, right.
And then they have tiny little microscopic barbs along their tongue in order to grab those termites.
Okay.
So they don't grab and twist like a giraffe would. So the giraffe uses their tongue kind of like a hand.
It's
These guys, they have saliva and sticky little barbs, and everything sticks to that.
Okay, so it's not quite like prehensile's not the right
Right,
word,
it's not prehensile, but it can move, and you can kind of control it, but it's more of like, there are other reasons why they can grab things.
Sure, okay. It's like basically like controlled fly paper. Just
Exactly.
There we go.
That is
okay.
exactly what it is.
That's very cool. Now I see you do not have a big bowl of ants. You have egg for him. He eats
Yes.
other stuff besides the ants
He
and the termites?
does.
Okay.
So in captivity, he's going to eat a diet that's called insectivore. So it's a made pellet that's made to mimic basically what ants or termites would make.
Sure.
Or would consist of. So he eats that. He loves hard-boiled eggs.
Right.
He loves avocado. That's his absolute favorite thing. So we give his arthritic
Like
medicine
you already
and
like.
avocado.
Right.
And then he gets bugs, of course. So we have waxworms and mealworms. Those are his 2 favorites.
Okay.
And then we'll find some rotten logs that are just around on property and give those to him. He loves those.
Okay, very cool.
I see you.
Hey, Allison, this is a kind of cool plant. It's still green, and we're kind of into winter time. Anything cool? What's the deal with it?
Well, actually, yes, Michael, there is some really cool stuff that's right here. This is called a zebra grass.
Do zebras eat it?
No, zebras don't eat it.
Is there a zebra?
But it does have some kind of like little stripes to it. So this zebra grass produces these really fun little tufty seed pods that are right here. And they're pretty to look at, but lots of animals will also use this as nesting material. So we leave this out for them. So it's like a nice, warm, fluffy blanket. Go and touch that.
Well, that really is fluffy.
Yeah, it's super fluffy. It has a little seeds. So the birds will eat the seeds, but they'll also use this as nesting material.
Do zebras use it as nesting material? I'm just asking.
Well, I don't know. They might stuff it in their ears so that they don't have to listen to you.
What? No, I'm just saying, I'm the host.
But yeah, no, it's a really cool grass. So we will leave this up throughout most of the winter.
That's really cool. Okay, great. And it helps the wildlife.
Yeah, it
Always
helps
a plus.
the wildlife.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, so Mike, yeah, you can take a little handful of food here.
Okay, this looks like
And
hay pellets?
It is a little pellet. And so you have the Gulf Coast sheep coming over and saying hi to you. And I have our Barbados sheep.
Okay.
So yours has that very typical sheep kind of look to it.
Right. Yours looks kind of like a goat.
It does look
I know
a little
it's a
bit
sheep.
like a goat. It kind of has the darker markings. Its wool is not quite as thick. But you know how to tell the difference?
I ask you.
Well, you could ask us.
Right.
Or you can look at their tails.
Okay.
So goats have a tail that goes up,
Okay.
and sheep have a tail that goes down.
Huh.
So these sheep here were bred not so much for their thick wool coat, but more as a food animal.
Oh, okay.
So they were bred more for their
Don't
meat than
listen.
for. I know. Close your ears. So they're very gentle, and they are more grazers than browsers.
Right.
So we let them have these nice thick wool coats, and this wool will stay warm even when it's wet, which is one of the reasons why people like to use wool in clothing. So it has some very special properties to it. That means it traps heat even when it's wet.
Okay. That's great. So that basically keeps them warm even in the yucky, rainy kind of winter time.
You got it. Even if it's yucky and raining or snowing or sleeting or even icy, they are nice and warm, but they also have a nice warm barn that they can go into.
Exactly. So they're not built for strictly cold climates, but they can handle a little bit of cold, because of their, how their body, their fur, obviously their wool is and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah, so they are very comfortable in the cooler temperatures. But of course, we like everybody to be comfortable. So if it is going to be very rainy or icy or very cold, we will go ahead and put them in the barn and close those barn doors.
It stays nice and toasty with everybody
so
inside?
So it's nice and toasty with everybody inside.
Oh, that's great. Very cool. Do you change your diet or anything like that during the winter, or no?
In the wintertime, we do make sure that they have heated water.
Okay.
Because it will get cold enough for water to freeze here in North Carolina. So we do give them heated water so it doesn't freeze over.
Okay.
And we do increase their feed a little bit because they will burn some more calories in the wintertime.
Of course, trying to stay warm and all that. That's why we have the holidays, because I eat more in the wintertime too, so I have an insulation layer.
Yeah, that's why we like to eat in the wintertime too.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It is tasty.
Right.
But then we have to burn it back off for swimsuit season.
We do? I just don't swim. So Allison, we just met the sheep and the goats outside. They're awesome. Let's take a stroll through the rest of the barn and see some of the other animals you have in here, because pretty much everybody is getting ready for the winter, right?
Yes, we are already prepared for the winter. Winter came upon us a little bit early.
Yep.
So here we have some of our alpacas.
Okay, very cool.
So they are not llamas, but they are in the same family.
Which is the camel family, correct?
Which is the camel family. But one of the really neat things about alpacas is that they were raised for their fleece.
Okay.
So their fleece is super, super warm. It's actually warmer than sheep's wool.
Okay.
There's a couple other nice things is that it's not itchy. So a lot of times if people are allergic to sheep's wool, they will not be allergic to alpaca fiber.
So it's hypoallergenic, basically.
It is. It also doesn't have the lanolin that's in it, which is what people are allergic to in sheep's wool.
Right. That's really great. Okay. So do you shear them?
They also get shorn in the springtime.
Okay.
And they look kind of funny after they've been shorn because we usually leave a little poof on the top of their head.
Oh, yeah. That's like a little giant poodle thing. Okay, very cute. I like that. Okay, but right now they've got a nice thick coat for the colder months, so they'll be okay. And then of course when it gets cold, you shut them in like everybody else, so it's a nice warm barn for them.
We do. We close up all the doors to the barn, and they stay nice and toasty as well.
Okay, cool. So you want to go see some of the rest of the kids?
Yeah, let's go see some of the other
These
animals
guys
here
are great.
at the barn.
Awesome. So you've got some miniature donkeys and miniature horses over here.
We do have miniature donkeys and miniature horses. So donkeys are very protective over their areas. Lots of people will have donkeys to actually chase away things like coyotes that might harm some of their other animals. So a donkey will stand its ground.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and they also grow a thicker coat of hair on them to help keep them warm in the wintertime.
Okay, that's great. And how about the horses? Do they get a little bit of a thicker coat as well?
Same thing with the horses. And these are miniature horses.
Okay.
There we go. Hi, girls. So they are full grown. They are actually a little bit older, so they don't get any bigger than this, but you can see right now they are looking a little shaggy, and that is their winter coat.
Okay.
So in the springtime, they might look a little bit patchy, but that is just some of that winter coat starting to shed and come off. So one of the things that our keepers do is they take very special combs and they brush the horses in the springtime to help that winter coat shed off.
Kind of like if you have a dog or a cat, how it likes to shed at certain times of the year.
Exactly. We do the same thing here with the horses.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Very cool. All right. Now, I did see when we were walking up, you have one more type of animal here that I wanted to visit. You've got guinea hogs.
We do have guinea hogs. They are right over here. You can kind of hear them snorkeling and grunting there a little bit.
Okay.
They are actually very intelligent animals, but they don't have a really thick coat of fur or hair like some of the other animals do. So we do a few things to keep them nice and warm and comfortable.
Okay.
So number one is, you can see one of them is back there in the corner. Kind of sounds like he's snoring away.
Right.
There is a nice heated mat underneath all of that
Oh.
straw. So he's having some wonderful, nice, cozy dreams.
Oh,
right
gotta
now.
love it. Gotta love Toasty, you know?
Toasty dreams, and then we also have the weather stripping that's on there.
Right, to keep the kind of the cool air out.
Cool air out, warm air in, and then this way they can go in and out as they would like.
Okay.
But it stays nice and warm in here.
Allison, so we're talking about, you know, colder months, how animals and plants deal with it.
Yeah.
This is a really cool area, but right now it doesn't look like very much. Do you want to explain what it is and the potential and what you do here?
Well, it doesn't look like very much now. That's because a lot of these plants are dormant.
Okay.
So dormant means that they are kind of resting for the cooler months. But in here, during the summertime, we have a lot of very special flowers. And this is a monarch way station. So one of the flowers and plants that we grow here is milkweed.
Okay.
Because not all of the animals stick around here in North Carolina for the wintertime.
Right.
Some of them migrate.
Okay.
And you know, the monarch butterfly is one of those animals that migrates, and it goes down to Mexico to overwinter where it's nice and warm.
Right.
But in the summertime, they will come up here and they lay their eggs on the milkweed.
Okay.
And milkweed is the only kind of plant that monarch butterflies will lay their eggs on.
So with no milkweed, no monarchs.
No monarchs.
Okay.
So planting milkweed is a great thing that everybody can do to help out monarchs. And one of the things that we do is we actually will capture some of those milkweed seeds.
Okay.
And I've brought some of those with me. And we put a little net around them because they will then kind of explode and open up and release all of those seeds.
Right.
So that is something that you can do, or our folks at home and people all over Greensboro can do, is help by replanting some of this milkweed. So inside here are some of the milkweed pods.
There.
So towards the fall, the end of summer, they start to grow these great pods on them. And inside is this fluff.
Okay.
And the fluff gets taken off by the wind.
Okay. And the
There
seeds
we
are usually
go.
attached to it.
And the seeds are usually attached to it. And they will bring the seeds to a new location and replant more milkweed.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So the milkweed can spread,
Yes.
thereby, you know, giving a food source to the baby monarchs when they hatch out as caterpillars.
Exactly.
Okay. So Allison, you promised me more pollinators, and
I
you
did.
definitely delivered. You want to tell us about your friends?
Well, I've got a couple thousand friends right over here,
Okay,
Michael.
you beat me.
Yeah. So we have 2 beehives here at the Greensboro Science Center.
Okay.
And they are fantastic. And when you come out here in the wintertime, you're not going to see too much activity. But if you can look today, you'll see a couple of bees coming in and out. They are still going out. When it warms up enough, they will come out and be active.
They'll.
Be active.
Yeah, I want to just check. Okay, there we go.
We also have some sugar water out for them just to keep them nice and hydrated, even when there aren't very many flowers around. Now, there are a couple thousand bees in there, and they don't really like it very much when it's too cold. But with all those bees and all those beating wings, they keep their hive nice and warm.
Really? That's pretty cool. So it's a lot warmer in there than out here?
It is actually a lot warmer. So I brought my little thermal gun here, and we can go ahead and we can see what the temperature is for some of the wood that's right in front of us, and that says it's about 51 degrees.
Okay.
Now if we look at some of the wood that's right there, that is 87, almost 88 degrees.
Wow.
And it's pretty cold out here today.
And that's the wood that's on the outside of the hive.
And that's
so,
on the outside
so
of the
the
hive.
inside's probably even toastier.
It is going to be even toastier. And you know what? These bees have a way of winterizing their own homes.
Okay.
They produce a very sticky, special wax that they use to kind of plug up any little drafts that might be inside their hive.
Almost like the gap crack or something we get from like Home Depot to seal things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like that's the stuff in the spray can that we spray to keep
Right,
our homes
right.
nice and warm. They actually make their own.
That's really, and they only do that seasonally.
They do.
That's really neat. So they're,
And they also do produce lots of honey.
Okay.
And you know why they produce honey? No, well, yes, for you.
I mean, for them to eat?
For them to eat,
Okay.
exactly. So they need food over the wintertime because in the wintertime, there's no flowers or not very many flowers.
Right.
So they have no way of gathering nectar. So the honey is their food for the wintertime. You know, when you come to the Greensboro Science Center in the wintertime, you may not see all of our outside animals, but we have a lot to do in the inside as well. So right now we are in our herpetarium, which we have open, and we have lots of cool critters that people can come and touch and see. We have snakes and lizards, and we have one of these little guys. So this is an eastern box turtle.
Okay.
And this is a female. Her name is Jane, and you can see her here at the Greensboro Science Center in the wintertime, but if you were out in your yard, you would not see one of these turtles in the wintertime.
Okay.
Turtles are a reptile, and so they are the same temperature as the area around them. So in the wintertime, they're not going to be out and about, and they're not going to be active. They're actually going to hibernate. So that means that she is going to dig herself a nice little tunnel or use an abandoned mammal tunnel, and she's going to burrow herself down underneath the ground, underneath leaf litter, and she is going to go into a restful, dormant state, and she's going to sleep most of the winter.
Okay.
So this is an eastern box turtle. This is exactly what we would see around here in North Carolina. This is a female. The males have a lot more orange and red on them, and she is full grown. She might get a little bit bigger, but this is about as big as they get.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So when people come here in the wintertime,
Yeah.
they don't want to, some of the animals are active outside, some aren't.
Yeah.
But if people are not wanting to be outside that much, you have a ton of stuff inside, like the herpetarium here and the aquarium and all the other exhibits that people can walk around, stay warm, and enjoy the Science Center for hours on end, right?
Yeah, the newly remodeled dinosaur gallery, and we've got a kids play area, so there's lots of things to do in the wintertime if you don't want to be outside and be cold.
Allison, we've had an amazing adventure today. We saw the outside zoological area, we saw some of the aquarium, we're in the dinosaur hall now.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful place. Thank you so much for showing us the Science Center and teaching us about all kinds of different animals and plants and how they deal with the cold.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. I'm so glad you could come out and visit us today, and hopefully lots of other folks will come out and visit us as well and see that we have lots to offer all year round.
You do. You have inside, you have outside. It's warm, it's cool. There's tons of stuff to look at and play with and learn. This is a wonderful place for any age to come and play. So,
Yeah, if you're young or just young at heart.
I'm that second one. So thanks very much for having us, and can't wait to come back and play again.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you.